Welcome to the 2019 Midwest Dental Conference, celebrating University of Missouri, Kansas City graduates, alumni, students, hygienists, the entire dental community right here, smack dab in the Midwest. I have the tremendous privilege today of spending some time with Mr. Alex Nudel, co-founder of RevenueWell. Just want to share some thoughts with you about email, text message reminder systems, and so Alex, why don't you kick it off? Tell me a little bit about RevenueWell. How does a practice engage with it? What's the return on investment? Go.
All right. Well, first of all, I love this show, and thank you for having me here. My wife, Marina Nudel, has graduated UMKC in 1998, and we were here last year for her 20th anniversary. So we love Kansas. We love everybody around here, and this year's show happens to be really great with attendance, so we're happy about that. So we started RevenueWell about 10 years ago. Before that, I've used other systems that are out there, and they were all patient communication systems, and that's what they're known for. When we started with RevenueWell, we wanted to make a patient care system, which is completely different because blasting patients is no longer acceptable. Today, we have to talk to a patient about them. So it's about talking to the right patient at the right time, but only about their condition and what's going on. There's two types of patients in every office. They either have an appointment or they don't. And Rob, you know for many years in the practice that that's how it goes.
Yeah.
And so what do we know? We know that the dental office team, the crew, they're incredibly awesome in dealing with the patients that are in front of them. Think about how we set up dental offices. That once a patient lands there, we have all this digital technology. We are able to diagnose things real quick. We're able to show them, here's your x-ray, here's your decay. We're educating the patients more and more. We're getting them more involved with what's happening with their oral health, but then we take those patients and split them into two categories again. They either say yes to treatment and have an appointment, whether it's for hygiene or restorative, or they don't. So RevenueWell is really great in dealing with the patients that say no. And the office is great in dealing with the patients that say yes. So once they land there. So what separates us from everybody else? We actually know what's going on with the patient. Because RevenueWell, once it's installed, has the capability of reading the data that is in the practice management software. In the last 20 years, more and more doctors, offices, have their team spend a lot of time in inputting the most important information about the patient into the practice management software. And that's exciting. Before, we used to use that data to pop up an x-ray real quick, read a note, enter a note, and that's all that it was useful for.
Right.
We always needed new patients because there were those cracks in the offices that our existing patients would fall through. And being an office manager, being a coach for many, many years, I knew there had to be something more. So we taught RevenueWell to have artificial intelligence. And everybody's talking about artificial intelligence. And what is it? It's about getting into the data and getting to know what's inside of it. So RevenueWell can read perio charts. We know the difference between a healthy mouth patient and a diseased patient. We can read 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 millimeter pockets. We understand codes. So we know if the patient has gone through root blending and scaling, 43, 41. We know that that patient should ultimately be on perio maintenance, 4910, versus a prophy at 110. So we're able to read that. We also have the charts. And in the charts, there's only two options. You have a patient that has an existing condition, and whether they have a crown, whether they have an endo in there, and it's all marked as existing conditions. And you also have proposed, things that the patient should do. And so whether they need a crown or an endo. And RevenueWell knows this. We know that if a patient accepts the treatment and goes onto the schedule, then there's no need for communication. But if a patient says no, and why do patients really say no? We're in the preventative business. So we look at the x-ray and we're trying to prevent things from happening. Most of the time when we tell a patient they need a crown, the tooth is not hurting. It's not swollen. It's not infected. It just so happens that they came in for their routine maintenance and we took x-rays and the hygienist says, we need to really take a look at that a little bit closer. So when the doc comes in, they're saying, oh my God, we need to fix this. And the patient's like, why? It doesn't hurt. Why am I going to invest into it? So they're doing a lot of great stuff. They're doing the education. And so from our data, we know about half of the treatment gets accepted. So if you're $1 million practice, you must have proposed $2 million or approximately there. But then those patients say no, we're looking for new patients all the time. So I'm okay with new patients. As a matter of fact, there are 3 things that RevenueWell does extremely awesome. One is help you to acquire new patients.
Okay.
2 is it helps you retain those patients that you already have. Those are the most important patients. It's not always the new patients because they're unpredictable. We don't know what we're going to get. The patients that we have, we know that they love us, they trust us, they're just not ready yet. And the third thing is, how do we get them to understand their treatment that has been proposed so they could get it accepted? And so we're great in getting treatment acceptance. And so right here we have a little wheel of some of the things that RevenueWell does, right? So we help you get found online. And I think that's really important because think about SEO. Everybody thinks that SEO is the holy grail. Well, SEO is step 1 of 3. This is something that is very new to the market.
Yeah.
It's search, that's where the SEO comes in, research, and appoint. So once they find you, how are you visually seen out there online? What is your reputation? What are your patients saying about you?
Yep.
So that's the research
They're
part.
looking at Yelp, they're looking at Google reviews and everything else.
Correct. And the third part is your patients have no patience. So if you don't give them an opportunity to request an appointment from where they are at, whether they're looking at you at Facebook, whether they're looking at you at your website, whether they're at the microsite, whether they're on Google, you have a very big possibility of losing them. Think about the good old days where 3 clicks was okay, right? Think about the startup when we had 19K, where we were going to download an email for 3 hours, which was better than getting a FedEx, right? So today, they have no patience. If they can't do it right from where they are,
Yeah.
they're jumping.
If you have to scroll more than one time on your mobile, it's
Great.
off.
So we help you get appointments, online requests everywhere, which is important. The other thing is we welcome new patients to the practice. And if you think about that, well, we have the best receptions. They welcome patients to the practice. I call that the interrogation. Just think about what goes on in the news. Identity theft.
Yeah.
Don't give your information out, but the dental office is really great. What's your name? What's your address? What's your social security number? Who's your firstborn? Who's your employer? Who's your spouse? Where are your kids? So we eliminate that interrogation. We're able to say, welcome to the practice, and fill these online forms out, because we have online forms. What we've noticed with the online forms, that if a patient fills out online forms, their show rate is 98%. They're already invested, you have their time, and in Brooklyn, they can call back and say, yo, don't you know we know where you live? Joey's on the way to get you. So the beautiful part is, if they make that investment, you can also showcase your practice.
What do you think the average no-show percentage is for practices not using a tool like this?
Well, it depends on the type of practice you run.
Yeah.
In the MSO, DSO world, 70% fail. In a practice that is a private practice, if your team is trained on answering the phone and dealing, it could be 30%. That is huge because those are very expensive patients. You've invested money into marketing, you've invested money into your team on how to deal with that, and they don't show up and they get lost in the shuffle. And we even have an answer to that because once we get their information, I typically say like this: ask your patients to come in 30 minutes earlier or ask for their email address so they could do it at their own time.
Right.
And so everybody, especially if you have a family coming in or anything else, they're welcome into the practice. We create beautiful YouTube videos. Look at our office. We have Shelley Oddie here in the audience watching us, Dr. Doug Schultz. I mean, they have massage chairs. They give you coffee. Their their technology and everything you can possibly imagine, they can showcase before the patient ever gets in. We can talk about, we have a CAD cam, and because we value your time, we can have single visit dentistry.
Right.
We have this thing that spins around your head that we can make your treatment more predictable. So these are the things that we can do that does not cost you any additional dollars. And we don't have to get everything from them. And the fun part is data entry. Well, our receptionists don't like that. And so whenever you get those forms, they automatically just merge into the practice management software. You can update things, and so that's great. Confirming appointments, right? There's nobody that likes that. Nobody gets up in the morning and is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna confirm 20 appointments today. And your patients, just think about it, 80% of the practices have 80% of their patients on insurance. They're working. When I'm working right now, call me. See if I answer your phone. So we have a two-way messenger, which is a live messenger that people can interact with you. You know, they can talk to you. And right now, some of the coolest stuff is, in order to chat with anybody's practice management system, you have to be in there. And RevenueWell gives you your own number that you can put in your marketing, and people can chat with you before even being entered into the system. And you have great records of that. The feel-good items, happy birthday, happy holidays. We get people that record the most amazing videos. So we have a very tight connection with YouTube. And so sending a postcard used to be pretty cool, but I mean, the same postcard every year, and now we have people recording a new video every year, and we're getting messages that we're reading of patients that are saying like, you were the first one to wish me a happy birthday.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a vicious marketer. The birthdays and the holidays happen to be the #1 patient reactivation campaign in the world. You're not offering them anything. You're not saying, come in, we'll give you whitening, we'll give you discounts. We're saying we care, and they're like, well, things are happening, life is busy, I got all the stuff that I'm doing, but I need to make an appointment. Digital post-op instructions. Now, because we captured the walkout statements, we can see the services that have been rendered. We actually help the patient with their journey. You got your tooth extracted, you get your post-op for that. It's your doctor, it's your hygienist, it's your receptionist that is coming live from the clouds explaining to you in easy terms on what to do. And then we encourage you to read the rest of the stuff, but a week later, 2 weeks later, let's say you've gone through root planning and scaling. 2 weeks later, an email comes out and says, hey, you should have your perio maintenance appointment. But if not, this is the perfect time to schedule and explain why every 90 days is the way to go. If you got your tooth extracted, we probably talk about implants, and you should have an appointment, but if you don't, let's go. And so we're communicating to those patients that say no.
And it's not just some standard form thing, it's a very personal connection with the doctor or the team, talking to the patient about why that's so important.
Doctors are stars, especially doctors that have technology and sell cases. They should be the star of the show when they're out. Receptionists are great, but I don't need a specialist answering my phone. I need somebody that is great to my patients, that is very attentive, that is willing to help, but they don't need to diagnose things. They don't need to talk about endo or anything else. But so that's kind of neat when your doc comes to you from the clouds. And the funny part is, like, you guys did a beautiful, we have T-Bone taking cake into his face. People just love it. They just love it. Treatment plan follow-ups are crucial because those patients that say no, and you've done everything to educate them, well, we're just continuing that education. We have patient education videos that are attached. So you have a proposed treatment, you have a tooth number, you have what the treatment is about, and you have a code attached to it, and these videos are coming in. People don't buy the treatment because they can't afford it. So a link to your finance option, a calculator, well, it could be $3,000 or $75 a month, which do you prefer? That makes a big difference in the world. Plus, one of the things that we don't think about is we have no records of following up on anybody ever. The best receptionists are so busy. They're so challenged today more than ever because there's just so much that they do. They may not have a note saying, hey, I spoke to Mr. Jones about their treatment again. So RevenueWell keeps all the notes, HIPAA compliance, security, and everything else. But if something should ever happen and the patient says, well, they never followed up on it, we'll say, well, let's take a look inside our Patient Connect 365 or RevenueWell and see how things are. So that is amazing. Online accounts, people can make payments, pay their bill balances, which gives a patient portal. And the patient portal opens your practice 24/7. And so we have this beautiful portal where they could do that. They can refer friends. They can write beautiful reviews to you. And that's great. Pre-written campaigns ready to go out. No more blasts. Hey, we can do whitening. A 75-year-old edentulous patient's like, why am I getting this? And the fact of the matter is, and I'll ask you a question because you're a marketing person. How often, how many times during a month can we really send out a campaign to our patients?
4 probably max, right?
4 is too much.
Yeah, okay.
RevenueWell, you can do 50 campaigns a day without touching the same person twice and only talk about their condition. You need an inlay, you need an onlay, you need an implant, you need Invisalign, you need a mouth guard. So you're only talking about what's right for that particular patient.
Yeah.
And they're pre-written. So if you're a marketing guy, which you are, to set up a campaign for yourself, to figure out what you're going to say, design the ad, position it to go out, and the biggest thing is, how are you going to track your success? How long would that take you?
Oh, yeah, countless hours.
Countless hours.
I mean, you've got hours and hours in the copywriting alone, much less trying to figure out how to engineer the email sequence. And
So I'm slow,
yeah,
right? I type with 3 fingers, but you should see me go. I'm the best typer of 3 fingers. Like, I can compete. I could set up a complete campaign for an E4D, talking to people that need inlays, onlays, and crowns, that have money left on their insurance, that are males between the age of blah, within about 40 seconds. Launch it and know exactly how that campaign did. Because what I need to know is what is the success of my campaigns. So that's in here.
Well, the example that I've heard you give before about the relevant communication, it's if you get a 3D and you want to start talking about implants, it may or may not be relevant to your entire patient base, but if you can, because RevenueWell reads the charts, it can find just those patients with a missing tooth indicated in their chart, and so you're exclusively emailing those patients.
You're 100% correct. So not if you get but everybody should have. Now, I'm not saying that it's written that is the standard of care. To me, it's the standard of care. Am I a dentist? No, but I play one on TV. But you know I have tens of thousands of dentists that we speak in front of all the time. We need to have it more predictable and protect the licenses. Because a lot more general dentists are doing stuff and the specialists hate them. So God forbid something ever happens. you will have a specialist saying, they didn't follow my protocol. That's why only 5% of mine fail. So we have a way to monitor your reputation, that you work so hard, and showcase it, literally with an app on Facebook, on your website, to actually showcase the ones that you absolutely love. We have a way of getting you reviews, and you can send your patients directly to Google, or they can come to us, to Patient Connect 365. We can take a peek at them and showcase it later.
So what's the benefit of that, real quick?
The benefit is the unknown.
Yeah.
Some doctors say, I've never dealt with this before. I don't know what my patients are going to say.
Yeah.
Some doctors are very strict with their patients, and some patients may feel that they're pushing too hard. Just think about it. You go to the cardiologist, they say, hey, Joey, today we're going to crack your chest open. I know you didn't really figure on that. You just had a little bit of pain. You may survive this, which is the good news, and it'll cost you about $100,000, and you'll be like, yeah, let's do it, right? But when somebody tells you, listen, you really need this done, and I don't want you to leave before we start that endo because it's on tooth number 2, it could be life-threatening, it could just shoot right to your brain. They're like, you're pressuring me, doctor. I have a lot of teeth, but only one heart, you know? Recalls, reactivation, social media, phone system, which is amazing. All the information, unlimited phone calls are included for appointment confirmation, and we can talk about it all day. But the most important thing is help you get new patients, retain the patients that you already have, and get your treatment accepted. Now, you talked about the ROI. It is kind of a cool machine, right? So, tested about 6,000 customers just recently. Not all the RevenueWell customers, but some of the RevenueWell customers. And so we were talking about always 10 times return on investment, which is huge. It's 1,000%. You know, can you imagine you can get a machine and you stick $1 in and it'll give you 10 back? Like, you wouldn't leave the machine. 23 hours a day you'll be next to that machine. That's it. 20 times return is the average on RevenueWell.
Wow.
And it's been proven, as long as you're passionate about taking care of your patients and are willing to push this information out. 95% of it is automated because we cannot put more stress on our business administrative staff. They're already right here, and that's the way it works. So it's a pretty cool machine. You know, the other day I spoke to a doctor who happens to be a great entrepreneur. So he's like, if I get a license, I'll get 20 times return if I follow you. And I said, yes. He goes, how many licenses can I buy for the office?
That's an entrepreneur.
That's an entrepreneur, because they understand. Everybody thinks it's an expense.
Yeah.
Well, we're a part of your team.
Yeah.
The best part is we're controlled by the team. So we don't really take any credit for it. It's the rep that brought it to you, that is helping you pay for all your merchandise, that is helping you pay for all of your equipment that you're buying. It's helping you pay for all the expenses that you're doing, the additional office that you're building, a little bit of vacation time, and a little bit of a college fund. What else can you ask for?
I think there's a tendency to lump RevenueWell into the same category as, you know, just email, text message reminders. You've laid out, I think, that it does a whole lot more than that. How does it compare, and what really sets it apart from some of the other competitive products that have some of the similar core functionality?
Well, we stand on the stage quite often, speaking in front of big groups with other companies as well. So I'm standing there with my chest out because, you know, I feel like Superman, really, because we're helping patients get the care that they need.
Right.
We're helping patients get the information that they're dying for. I remember many, many years ago, my dad had a heart attack. No information was available. We couldn't find out what's going on. And we're helping the patients with the journey. We're also driving quite a bit of business. And so the other company standing up there and saying, hey, the doctor can send happy birthday to you. Dude, that's amazing. And everybody's like, whoa. So you got to figure out what's best for you. Are you going to take care of your patients, or are you going to freaking fool around by texting happy birthday? You can still do that here, right? We have all kinds of cool apps where you can request a review by text, where you can text your patient happy birthday. But here's the whole thing. We're a medical company, and they're doing with everything. So they don't comply with the Telephone Consumer Protection Act of 2015. And so there's two different types of medical communications. One is an actual, your appointment time, and you need to recall or whatever. The other one is marketing. Happy birthday is a marketing campaign.
Yeah.
Should never go out by text, because you're setting yourself up. We always talk about HIPAA. There is no HIPAA for happy birthday, but there is the Telephone Consumer Protection Act right there that will bite you in the butt, because it's always class action. Because the fine is small, $1,500 for every time you've done it. So you have 2,000 patients. You do it only 2,000 times a year for the last 10 years, 20,000 times. It's only a $30 million fine.
Just a small fee.
Nothing major. And then there's other tags that you might have sent. So we got to make sure that we're dealing with a company that is certified, that is dental specific, and knows what's going on. Vets have different HIPAA with their dogs. It's okay to say your dog is limping. We need to.
Yeah.
They don't have as much privacy, so we got to be concerned. The other thing is really staying on top. So artificial intelligence, business intelligence, to where you can build an algorithm that works for your particular office, and that's important.
I love everything about that. And you do lose a few customers from time to time because you're on a month-to-month contract, right? How many, in a percentage, how many customers do leave you? Because
Yes.
you hate that, but
Attrition hits everybody in the world, including dental offices. So on average, a dental office will lose approximately 25 to 30% of their active patients on an annual basis. That's what they need. RevenueWell without contract, our attrition is less than 1%.
less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
Unbelievable.
People stay with us. It's a tool for the whole entire office. We have hygienists using it. We have assistants using it. We have the administrative staff using it. We have doctors using it. And that's never heard of, because it's typically just kept to the front desk.
Yeah. Love it. Is there anything else that we're missing that we need to make sure that we share with all of Getsy Land?
Yes. Call your Getsy rep. Get a demo. 30-day promotion right now.
Love it.
For 30 days. Okay? Till the end of April. 30 days. The code is Nudel, Nudel. And we'll let them try it.
Yeah.
Let them see what it is. Protect your database. Don't slam it, because you're diluting your message if you're slamming it. So don't dilute your message.
No.
Get with Getsy. Do it well. RevenueWell.
You heard it here first, folks. I can't add anything to that would do any better than Alex. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you too.